Good morning. I'd like to call the Operations Committee meeting to order. Is there any pecuniary interest?
None known.
I have none. We might have a delegation later on. But seeing nothing on there, we can move down to prior meetings minutes, what's already been approved at our last council meeting. Was there any business arising from those minutes? Didn't see anything in the.
I didn't have anything.
In ongoing tasks.
We just haven't been able to update that list.
I think everybody's aware of whatever their tasks are. We'll move down to the health and safety inspection sheets. I didn't see anything on there that looked out of the ordinary this time.
No, it was a clean checkup.
Do you need to display them or?
No, not usually. I just bring them up if there's questions, but if
And if
there are,
anybody's following along at home, the package is on the village website. You can look at it and.
Yep.
Marvel at the good clean record the arena has. Okay, I'll move to receive and file the arena health and safety inspection sheet
Seconded.
and move down to the public works. They look just as clean.
Same, just, it was a competition.
It's good, healthy competition.
We all win.
We all win. That's right. A good way to look at it.
Okay, I'll move to receive and file item number 2 as well. And we'll go down to new business and invite Derek Lucas to go through his monthly arena report, please.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This is the arena monthly report for January. On January 2nd, we received the engineer's report from Robbie Dale Limited for the roof and structural integrity inspection that took place in early December. There was some issues identified and will need to be addressed and repaired in the near future. These items will be added to the capital budget request list. January 3rd to 5th, we hosted the Serenity Girls Silver Stick Finals in Point Edward. Played host to 23 games. Tournament was super busy, but yet very well organized. Overall, the tournament was a huge success and a great community event. The tournament director was very complimentary of the staff and has already confirmed next year's tournament. Blue Water Plumbing has replaced the solenoid valve on the Olympic hot water fill station. That is an outstanding issue. We got the boys Silver Stick schedule on January 9th. Century Fire was called in multiple times for a faulty pressure relief valve and switch on the air compressor for the sprinkler system. There's been no further issues. The live barn equipment was installed on January 13th. System went live shortly after. We're still working with user groups to see who wants the system live for their time slot. New light fixtures have been ordered 6 to 8 weeks for the light poles in the north parking lot. Installation will be taken care of by Robert Power Control. This was hoped to be a 2025 capital budget item. Both roofing was in on the 17th to repair a leak in the flat roof above restroom number 7. January 16th, 17th was the boys Silver Stick. Tournament was very well organized and went off with no issues. Once again, the tournament director was very comprehensive with facilities and staff. A new water meter has been installed by Black McDonald on behalf of Blue Water Power at the arena. The old meter was deemed to be faulty. We received the Point Edward Junior B lacrosse schedule for the upcoming season. They will start 4 workouts on April 9th, and their home opener is on Saturday, April 26th. Angel Technical was in on January 22nd to replace the main wiring harness on boiler number 1 of the hot water system. This was an outstanding issue from November and a recommendation of the manufacturer, and we've had no further issues as of this report. Angel back in to repair heating unit, dressing room number 2, which is referee's room. And on January 28th, we had a medical emergency at the arena involving the AED. New pads have been installed and the AED returned to its cabin. Thank you to all involved. Work management 3 full-time, 1 seasonal, and we have our state coach on some Sundays. All the employees at the arena have taken health and safety awareness, either in 4 steps or 5 steps. As for bookings, we were 97% booked on the prime time and 85% booked on non-prime time. Obviously, interior, there's regular maintenance and cleaning, continuing daily. Exterior, general maintenance on the buildings. We had multiple snow events, thanks to Public Works for the timely snow removal and maintenance of the parking lot. The 3 light fixtures have been addressed. Community hall, if the Optimist are still running that, they've had a request from the Optimist operated ATM at the arena, and it has been approved by Jim Burns. Installation date to be determined. The Optimists have the request for security cameras and some more tables for capital items. Red and Co is running the snack bar still, and they have a request for a new exterior door. 2025 capital item. All the monthly inspections were completed, the normal. In venue advertising, there's a new pricing still by Mike. We got an inquiry from Century Fire about possible rent board advertising. You'll follow up needed on that. MMP rent board advertisement installed on January 27th, and still need a meeting with our user groups to discuss advertising partnership. Vehicles, equipment, and nothing to report. Customer satisfaction, lots of positive compliments on the cleanliness, ice conditions, and general appearance of the arena from parents, coaches, and managers during the 2 Silver Stick tournament. Dave Shree, girls tournament director, and Kyle Moore, boys Silver Stick director, were both very appreciative of the arena staff and the help they received during both tournaments. Health and safety, on the SOPs were completed as assigned by health and safety coordinator. Nothing to report on security. Capital and operating budget, 2025 capital and operating budget planning has begun, and capital budget quotes are coming in. Closing comments, welcome to 2025. The year has started out with an exceptionally busy January. We hosted both the boys and girls Silver Stick tournaments over the course of 2 weekends. Edward Minor Hockey Association started their reseeded winter portion of the hockey season with plenty of practice and lots of home game. Edward Skating Club also resumed programming after a short break during the holiday season. On the maintenance side, we had a few repairs completed along with some preventative maintenance taken care of. Looking ahead to February, the ice schedule is very busy once again. The Point Edward Skating Club will be hosting the Skate Ontario Star 1-4 skating competition at the arena February 21st to 23rd. We look forward to working with the skating club and making this another successful event. Point Edward minor hockey team will conclude the regular season and start playoffs near the end of the month, along with many of our men's leagues. We will continue to work with our summer user groups as well to get as many bookings completed as possible in the near future. We also continue to work on the 2025 capital and operating budgets in anticipation of budget day in mid-March. If you have any questions or concerns, please ask.
I just have a question with regards to the use of the AED. I know you and I had a brief conversation at the arena, and I don't want to go into details on it.
Yeah.
But did you find that we had some recommendations after having an emergency like that?
And Mike and I have discussed it, a little debriefing, and we have a couple of suggestions that we're going to bring forward at some point. Maybe some retraining for user groups at the beginning of the season. If we could do post a day or something, maybe at a community hall with get Point Edward Fire involved. And
Is there any way, and I know they're fairly visible if you know where they are, did that come up at all as far as increasing visibility of them?
no, I mean,
I don't know how to do that. I'm just
yeah,
curious if
it's
you guys.
one of them things like that user group walks by that, they have to walk by to see that dress room. So, I mean, they're there. I mean, I'm a little more conscious when I go to an arena now and see who they are, but
Situational awareness, I think, came into play in that particular case as well. It is well marked with highlighted in the areas, and I think that was the challenge that we ran into. But I think having more information, as Derek said, and maybe some training, not only for user groups, but also for our groups, some scenario-based training would help support if an event like that was to happen again.
So you'll not coordinate, but meet with fire so that you combine it
That's
and tell them what your suggestions are and
Yes.
come to agreement.
Mhm.
I'm sure that you would do that, but just to bring it up.
Thank you.
Would Lambton EMS be an asset as well?
I guess we could build a framework of what we would like to see and then bring it out to the user groups such as fire or health and safety to see what would be involved and who would be the best people.
I I think the fire department could connect to that because, I mean, we had a paramedic as one of our firemen. I don't know if he's still. But they are certainly aware of who comes to do the training for them, so they would be the resource to suggest who could do it.
Yeah, and there's a couple of RNs.
Yeah,
that are on the
yeah,
fire as well, so
yeah.
I think, that end of it, but just, if Hampton EMS is gonna be one of the first responders, just to somehow see if there is something they could add to it as well. I've got one more question just regarding all the Silver Stick, and I think I've asked this question before. Now that we've got those tournaments spread out over 3 weeks, did we ever get any feedback from our groups about the amount of interruptions in their programming, or this just is what it is?
No, cause they know at the beginning of the season,
Mhm.
so like, whenever mine will know what the blackout dates, same with the skating club, and I've never heard.
I just think about our Friday people
Yeah.
that have regular.
Yeah, no,
as
our,
well, like we have
so
a
some of our
pretty loyal-
Friday user groups during the day will move to Thursday if there's opening.
Okay.
I have 2 groups that'll move to Thursday, and that fills the Thursday up, but.
Okay.
And the church league on Friday night, they have no issues.
Yeah, I just always think about the
Yeah.
little
And we only
5 and
have 2
6-year-olds that
we
are
only have 2 of
just
the 3
learning,
weeks.
and then they get interrupted, and then they have to start from scratch after having 2 weeks off of hockey.
Yeah.
Well, we went out of town. I have, like, my grandson's 5.
Yeah.
We went out of town the one blackout day. We played in Strathroy.
Mhm.
So I think the league knows ahead of time,
Yeah, the
And-
U team's going away to the tournament, right?
and then
Yeah.
they're going away to Aylmer again. I think it's the next blackout where they're skating.
Oh, they're skating, yeah, coming up
Yeah.
next week.
These little U7s are going to Aylmer for the day.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
the Silver Stick's awesome, but
Yeah.
I just always think about our bread and butter is our regular people, and
Yeah.
is there ever any, feedback with that?
Yeah, no, I haven't.
They're there every week and pay their bills and all things like that, and
Silver
just-
Stick's also bread and butter for us too.
does it cost us more money though?
No, I'm talking about the money that we got from the hotels in January.
We get that anyhow, we have all the hotels,
No, they're maxing out.
yeah,
Like,
they stay here for
Right.
Silver Stick too.
right, but
Like, we get it anyhow, I'm just saying, does it cost us more money?
No, it's the
Like, is
same,
it extra
maybe,
staffing?
maybe a little bit labor cost, but for ice rentals, they're taking the maximum 15 hours a day,
Mhm.
both days, so.
I would say having Blackburn available for Silver Stick and having that promoted as well, it would have helped us in terms of some possible revenue for people that would have joined in using our codes. So that was an additional potential.
They'll be there for next year.
And looking for next year too.
Yeah, just, I've always been a rental's a rental,
Yeah.
whether it's a figure skating group, learn to skate or whatever versus a hockey tournament. And then I'm always thinking, do we have to add more staff? Is it,
Yeah.
and in any events in this area, most of the hotels are in Point Edward anyhow. And again, I'm heavily involved in hockey, so I know the groups that are in Lambton Shores North American Finals, they stay in Point Edward and drive out to Forest for that tournament. But I just always like to ask that question as far as, revenue in and costs of everything else that we incur for that.
Sorry, I just, on that topic of Silver Stick, I was invited to both the girls and the boys opening nights, which both ended up being at Paso this year. And, it's nice that I could walk in and it's all compliments, right? And the fella from the girls was just begging us to give him more ice. I said, I wish that we could, but we don't have it. He said, they would pay. And I went, yeah, that's not the issue. It's the issue is.
Everybody wants the same 5 hours
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So
or 3, depending on how old your kids
they
are.
would like to make this their home, but he
Mhm.
said it's. And he's talked to you before,
Oh, yeah,
and he
many
told me that.
times.
And he said, yeah, it's unfortunate, but we're unfortunate for them, but our ice time is taken up. Anyways, just nothing but compliments on how our arena is clean and staff are constant, like they all like to come. I had a question about the machine, the money machine. They already have one. Is this moving from the foyer of the community hall?
No.
It's a separate one.
A second machine.
I often wonder how much that one is being used at the community hall because you can't get to it unless the hall's open.
I think that's the point.
Yeah.
They
Okay,
want one in the arena that they
Yeah.
can access.
yeah, okay. All right, that's the only questions I had.
We move to receive and file the monthly report for the arena. And invite Mr. Roberts, are you gonna?
Yeah. You were doing every road.
Is that what it was?
I thought that's what you said, no?
One.
Probably a couple of anyway, so. It's I'll present the Public Works Report for the month ending of also this meeting that was in January. Recommendation that the committee receive and file the Public Works Report. Update from previous month, there was no updates that were brought up in the previous report. Work management, there are 4 full-time employees. This month, Public Works did also assist the meeting with some staffing due to some unexpected events that were occurring. Employee training, none this month. Operations building itself, interior, no issues to report. Exterior, multiple salt deliveries occurred to support the snow maintenance as we've exceeded. Or we've seen some excess snow events from this year. Inspections, monthly fire inspection was completed as well. Road sidewalks and parking lots, monthly road reports are completed. Multiple pothole repairs occurred during this month, just as they were found when we were plowing in through the road inspections. Assisted environmental services with the road closure on Michigan to support some underground repairs. New poles were installed on Louisa to support the 4-way stop initiative that we had earlier. We'll wait until the spring to be able to install the signs and such, as well as some other details. New poles were located at Arthur, but due to some initial freezing, we weren't able to get those poles in place once the thaw comes in place when it goes in. And again, due to, as I mentioned before, due to some higher than average snow and extreme cold events for the month, sidewalks and the roads were cleared and salted more than we had seen in the past. Parks and public spaces, inspections, cleanups of the parks continued through the winter months. City of Sarnia continued the project to install deep ground barriers along the pathway on the west side for the Front Street extension. The city, this is a city drawn project and it's a city funded project, which Point Edward supports due to the pathway with the agreement, and it's right on the border. We also provided information to the public if necessary. Public Works removed all the Christmas lights and holiday lights through the village, and then continued to remove any of the extension cords at the end of the pathways that help support initiatives driven by the residents for the Christmas in the village and details. Inspections and audits continue to work on public works equipment, small tools, to make sure that we're prepared for spring once snow activities decide to leave it. Vehicles, small issue found in snowplow 1, which was quickly repaired, put back into service. All other vehicles are operating properly. The Public Works did receive some new salt bins salt fins for our new truck, a newly repaired truck that do our fabricating provided us and they were installed, including that truck is in service and operating well. No other motorized issues, nothing to report health and safety or security. Capital budgets, there's a number of capital budget items that we'll review as well. Have been provided to the treasurer as well as the committee. Community feedback, none this month. Looking forward, February's weather looks to continue again with the higher snowfall as we're going to see the next couple days as well this weekend. Temperatures again remain below normal as we've seen, so it's likely that we're gonna have some more snow removal events and higher activities in terms of that as well. So, and we'll just continue to prepare for any spring activities. Closing comments. I want to really sincerely thank the PW staff for the immediate responses to support the arena activities, as I mentioned. Excellent demonstration of teamwork, caring, and support. January saw some extremely low temperatures and slowed the response of the salt to actually do its job in some of the sidewalks, pathways, and roads. We do ask people to be diligent and careful, but also be a little bit patient when it gets really cold, where the salt can only do so much at certain temperatures. So we will continue to work on it, as well as this resulted in more frequent responses. So.
I just wanted to add the thanks from our, our side as well, on how Public Works supported the arena in a time of need. It was very much appreciated that, everybody can step up and help and get through a difficult time. So I appreciate that.
Let me just add to that too, to center out a couple of people. I know, like, I spoke to Derek at the arena and he mentioned that Mike Popko came over specifically to do a shift because he'd worked at the arena before. And Corey Conroy as well came over because he had experience at the arena. And the training that's been done to get everybody acclimated to, both sides. I know the arena guys go over to Public Works in the summertime and work in there. But just, to name names of people that did. And especially Derek too, having to deal with all of what went on, it is greatly appreciated.
Oh, when we're talking about the four-way stop, part of that will be planning communication. So, to put that out in advance of whenever that happens.
Right,
So
yeah.
I'm sure it just doesn't sit, I know everybody's thinking about it, but just a reminder that we'll have to be thinking about communicating the change.
Yes.
You know how everyone loves change. Why are you doing that?
That's right.
I just have one question, and you might not be able to answer, it might be weather related, but any ETA on St. Clair Street, if anything's gonna start on that, just for the residents who live there.
Certainly, we did have a meeting yesterday to discuss some further information. Right now, there's some details that have to be provided back to us as a staff, and then we're going to be reviewing that with some engineers to identify where our next steps are. We have been in multiple conversations with the contractor. We're just waiting for that previous piece of information to be completed, and then we can sign and move forward. The idea is that as quickly as we possibly can is to make sure that St. Clair gets completed early and then move our way down. So we're hoping early spring right now, but there's just some details that we need to identify.
Yeah, just so people are aware, the work is being done.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
a lot
there's a lot
of
of
it
work in the
is
background, for sure.
behind the scenes. It's not
Oh,
necessarily
yeah.
shovels in the ground, but it's a lot of
And
prep
then-
work that has to be done ahead of time.
Yes.
And again, once they get confirmation of when everything can happen, it'll be communicated.
Mhm. Yeah.
In advance to residents, and it's unknown at this point, but being worked on.
We're also working on the intersections on Michigan Ave, so Alfred, Monk and Livingston, doing those putting in the pedestrian crosswalks and those. So that's getting ready to tender very soon, but similar thing, we'll communicate that when that works ready to be done, and we'll start down at Livingston because the road has to be torn up there to do some storm sewer repairs.
Yeah, because we had dealt with some sinkholes before in that area, I think.
Yeah, so we're gonna be doing underground and above ground work at the same time, so it's important for that activity.
It's great. Okay, I'll move to receive and file the Public Works monthly report for January.
Seconded.
I guess you can continue on to the speed data review.
Okay, thank you. And again, this report is the speed camera analysis for all three of our locations from Front, Michigan and Venetian. Recommendation received and filed reports. This report does encompass the January, month of January. As we've mentioned previously, that this report will analyze all the data that's been compiled, and I've done some analysis on. The way I've been breaking it down is that I'm looking at average speeds, max speeds throughout the month, as well as the total traffic through that month. And then I break it down into daily averages, giving us some speed patterns even down to the hour as necessary. And that can be found in the appendices that are in the report for breakdowns. I'll start on Front Street. Average speeds and traffic data indicating, I'll start with the southbound, which is the outgoing speeds. Again, are significantly higher than incoming speeds. That has been a trend for as long as I've been keeping this data, but at least 7 months now.
Because there's no flashy sign that way.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's my theory. I think it's right.
It wouldn't be that hard to spin that to the other way, so we can,
Then that would,
we could confirm
then you would
that.
know.
I, it's the same data every month and I see it going both ways on Front Street, but sorry to interrupt you. Go
No,
ahead.
that's fine, I did, but it's a possibility we could certainly look at. When we break out the distribution itself, is we get 67, almost 68% of the inbound traffic conforming to speeds and 3% exceeding them, which in exceeding speeds is 60 kilometers or higher. The data is broken down so that you can see 70, 80, 90, so you can see extreme speeds, but it's a very small percentage of like the total number. These numbers show that there's significant decrease in speeds, which peaked in October, which is nice. So we're actually seeing lower traffic volumes and the speed has decreased. So that's it's a nice.
But has St. Clair reopened?
There is a possibility with,
To change the
data,
traffic pattern.
absolutely. I think that does certainly have a lot to do with it now that people are able to transit.
They have an
St. Clair.
alternate path.
That's correct, yeah. It'll be interesting to see once St. Clair it has been completed.
Yeah.
We could potentially move a camera into that location and have a better analysis between the two. Conversely, 53% of the outbound traffic conforms to speed with, again, 6%, almost 7% exceeding speeds. Again, that's people just looking at the village, coming down Front Street, as we said. Along the right, average traffic along the Front Street itself is about 3,300 vehicles a day, with 58% again heading south, and it is a decrease. It's a significant decrease. So if you look at my trend line, you just notice that the number of vehicles are decreased. We'll see more in the summer as they come along, but also as we just mentioned, Light Street, I think may have a great deal to do with that. Michigan, again, broken out in the exact same fashion. Average speed and traffic for outbound, so eastbound traffic, volumes are significantly higher than, so anybody leaving the village on Michigan versus coming in the village, there's a significant speed difference. In November, 75% of inbound traffic, 50% or lower, or 50 kilometers or lower, are following the speed limit, and then 2% are exceeding. Numbers remain consistent as we've seen so far. Conversely, the outbound traffic, again, heading out of the village, 67% conform, whereas 4.5% exceed. So it's the traffic, those are pretty standard numbers, and we've got about almost a year's worth of data in that area. So we're pretty confident in what's we're finding. And again, it has like the inbound traffic, these numbers have increased since July and correlate with the decreasing traffic. The idea with that is, as the traffic number, like volume increases, we find the speed decreases, and then conversely, up until about this month, it's the opposite. So as the average number of traffic that in that area is decreased, the speed increases. It's kind of it's an interesting correlation that we've seen. So, but again, the numbers are relatively small in terms of excess speeds, which is nice to see. So, now when we get to Venetian. Venetian is, we do have a full traffic data from this month, full traffic data set from this month. And what we've noticed is that eastbound, so outgoing traffic speeds are slightly higher again than westbound speeds, but again, it's it's minimal, with almost 76% of inbound traffic conforming to speeds and only less than 2% that are excess speeds, so really high. And again, these, I don't have a trend line because the data is so new. Conversely, 71% of outgoing traffic conforms to the speed in 2.7. So in the village, it's our most conformed speed road, both in average speeds as well as the lowest number of maximum speeds that we've found. So,
Interesting.
and again, it is the lowest traffic volume, so only about 3,000 vehicles a day. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to elaborate.
I appreciate the data. It's
Yeah.
nice to have the hard numbers versus, speculation of someone being upset they think someone's speaking by their house. And that's real data. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll move to receive and file that. Oh, and again, do we share that with the OPP?
Yes.
Good. I just like them to see where the hotspots are because they like to use data as well.
And in the data, as you've noticed from the breakdowns of the overviews, you can see where the hours. So we can, if they're ever looking at specific things, there's specific hours that really show
What areas to visit when.
excess speeds and such would support some of their activities.
Yep.
Okay. Item 4 is our capital budget item summary.
Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah. Bye-bye.
So what we've got here is a pared down list
From the 100.
of projects that Mike is, you know, he's fully latched onto this idea of the new sheets we're using and such, and he's reduced his list from about 100 and something to 44 to bring forward to the committee for, and this is Public Works, Parks, and Arena all in one. I've kind of color coded them just so you know which projects are which. So as I said this morning, we don't have everything collective. Like, we don't even have all the departments brought in together. We don't have any considerations of revenues yet. But we wanted to share with you, committee, where, you know, the different projects we're working on. And then there is a bit of a description of each project as well. So you can have a look through that. We will at some point, I don't think we want to wait till the 11th of March, because presumably we'd be doing budget about a week or so after that is when we'd be passing the budget, but at some point we may want to have an extra committee meeting just to go through, kind of preliminary go through the budget. But we just wanted to bring this forward. When it comes to budget day, you probably will see the entire list of projects that Mike has, because it's the reason he has so many, at least part of it is because he's looking forward that 5-year timeline. You know, presumably the remaining 60 projects are things that he's not planning for this year at all, but planning for the future, but wants council to be aware of it. And that's kind of the whole idea of that 5-year sheet, is to make council aware of what might be coming down in the future. So you'll see a few spots blank in the cost column, and we just simply don't have that information yet. But if there's anything that committee would like to see added, if there's projects that they feel we should be putting in to consider, just let us know. And I think in terms of cutting projects, we're not looking to cut projects today. You know, I don't think there's any point in cutting projects if we don't even know what the revenue is to compare it to yet at this point. So it's just to, you know, kind of make sure the committee knows we are working on budgets, and we're probably not quite as far along as we normally are by this point in the year, but there's been a lot of work done. So.
One of the things I'd like to mention as well is tying some of the asset management details that we have in place. So looking at our asset management data and identifying, as Jim said, what might not be a critical aspect now, but something we should start thinking about, at least putting the radar, putting maybe some money to reserves or some ideas that we're looking at for some of the larger aspects, just to avoid any critical failures we may run into. That's what
But that's why you have an asset management plan, so it's good to be able to utilize it. We take a lot of work.
I appreciate the long list,
Yeah.
because these things are always gonna come up,
Mhm.
and we have to operate village and look forward. You know, make sure we don't get caught with a huge repair because we didn't maintain or see it coming.
Right.
So this is good.
Yeah.
I like, it's almost over communication, which I think is a good thing. It's not like something we're gonna do right away.
Well, and I thank you. I think that's kind of the way we looked at it. For example, if we're looking at some of the pieces of equipment in public works, where we have a large lawn piece of large lawnmower, where we can put $10,000 in repairs in it this year, but we know that within the next 2 or 3, we can only band-aid it for so long. So eventually we're gonna have to do that. There's gonna be a threshold that we're trying to identify and put into this list to say that we can get away this year, but next year is something we absolutely have to, unless we're looking at large, as I say, a critical failure or something. That can be like their show, or truck, or anything that we're in terms of the Olympia, for example.
So Jane's on vacation this week,
Mhm.
and then it'd probably be a couple weeks before we would do the
Yeah,
extra meeting.
I would
And then
say
the-
an extra meeting would probably be the week before the regular meeting.
Before the March 11th.
Yeah, so around the 4th, I would think. That's what we probably aim for. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done. But it's also got to be done, so.
Something just triggered my memory of something, and I'm curious if this has ever been thought about. Have we ever considered putting a fence, like a home run fence, in Craig Park? Not necessarily a home run fence. We erect a snow fence and take it down. And I see balls roll onto Alexander all the time, or would it be something to consider for, you know, it might do the job of a snow fence, it would be permanent and maybe keep the park contained a little bit. Has that ever been considered over the years?
It's never been talked
I
about that
don't
I'm aware
remember
of.
any discussion of it.
So, and let me continue. I know, we're always looking for ways of generating revenue too. And every little ballpark I go to, you know, if you're at an arena, typically someone's got a ballpark, they have advertising on their outfield fence.
You and I, yeah.
They have maybe a little banner or something on the backstop. And if you can add revenue to your baseball facility. I know especially the outfield fences, because, you know, you're sitting in there, you would see, you know, whoever wanted to spend a few bucks and advertise. And driving by McCray Park, heavy traffic area, more so than inside an arena. And if I'm sitting at the red light that I have to sit at all the time because there's a change on that place, I'm gonna look and see someone's advertising on the backstop of McCray Park. Sorry, I had to throw that in because I hit that red light every single day. Unless I'm coming from northern, I get a green light.
Sure,
coming
I
in.
use that for my.
But just something to
contemplation.
consider as a revenue stream. That if we had a fence,
Yeah, we talked. about it.
Yes,
and like I said, that one's out in the open, people walking on the trail, people driving, that's a very busy corner coming into the village. And if you can get your advertising as they're coming in, that might not be a bad spot. You know, tasteful advertising, of course, but you know, it can get a little busy. I go into some arenas and
Yeah.
like, how do I pick out
overwhelming.
all this stuff on the wall that there's a million ads?
Mhm.
But I just think that ballpark's untapped. Might pay for a fence and then keep some of the balls from rolling into the playground.
Certainly.
Okay. And I'm good for an additional meeting before,
All right,
because this is a big committee and there's a lot of big items, so. Might take a little bit more time. Okay, we don't have to receive and file that too, it's just.
Yeah.
Information purposes.
yeah, just,
Okay. Item 5, winter maintenance and ice mitigation for sidewalks and pathways.
Thank you. This memo was more of just an information. I know there was a number of questions that have been raised over this last month and a half in terms of other snow events and such. So this was just a representation, not only verbal, but in written, but a graphical representation of all the sidewalks, pathways that the village maintains during snow events, and to confirm all those details. So the idea was the recommendation was to receive and file. Again, the description was to review all the existing information about winter maintenance, ice mitigation of the village for the sidewalks and pathways. That does not include any sidewalks or pathways that are privately owned and not or are to be maintained by the owner. To remain vigilant, so to again for potential liability, Public Works reminded council regarding the levels of service for snow and ice removal for the sidewalks during the winter months. The background, it does, so the first part is to explain any lower tier municipalities, what their responsibilities are in terms of sidewalk and pathway maintenance, and to what's liable in terms of personal injury for snow removal. The village currently does not have a sidewalk maintenance policy or bylaw in practice or in place. We use practice to be able to maintain this. Current version of it, the operational plan that was adopted well before I was here, saying that the sidewalk clearing is an organizational responsibility. But does not go further in terms of the details. Public Works staff are currently maintaining sidewalks and pathways. The routes for all the pathways and the maintenance has all been done by past practice and supports all the village owned properties and beyond. As the operations manager, as far as the operations manager is aware, it hasn't been endorsed by council. But I could be wrong. The sidewalks currently being maintained are, and there's a list, so it does show all the different areas in terms of what we do. I won't go through the entire list. The remaining sidewalks are not maintained or maintained by resident. They're not maintained by us, or they're maintained by residents. I was under the understanding that a letter was sent out annually to remind residents about sidewalk maintenance and such. The minimum standard, when it comes down to, as we've mentioned before, the minimum standard for sidewalk maintenance for our low tier municipality is snow accumulation of 8 centimeters that has to be addressed within 48 hours. But we far exceed that level of standard. As was mentioned, that's if we cross the boundary of concern, this height, it's immediately, well, we maintain properties and sidewalks and properties. So limitation sidewalks in the village remain, there's a range width, which becomes a bit of a challenge in terms of our equipment, anywhere between 24 and 48 inches. Narrower sidewalks generally are more difficult for us equipment wise to be able to do it. There's a lot more on the hand shoving pushing snow wheels versus pushing snow equipment. The available equipment right now does propagate more of a 48 inches, so the blades are typically 48 inches wide, so that's the easiest to be able to maintain at that point. Some, as I said, some of the smaller areas become a little bit more challenged, but we do manual swapping. And then finally, as I mentioned, there is a map which gives you a graphical representation of all the areas. And there are multiple kilometers of sidewalks and pathways, which the public groups are diligent to make sure that they're solving and keeping fit.
Great. Any questions?
When Louisa Street gets done, is there new sidewalk part of that? You know, that alignment change by Helena?
Yep, there's new sidewalk
On
between Light and Helena,
yes,
Light and Louisa on Helena.
Okay,
yes.
and what would the width of that be?
I believe
Right now.
48 is the minimum.
48 is the new
anyway.
one?
Yeah.
Okay,
We
I
did
just,
we did the section in front of the church.
yeah,
And that's a 48.
okay, perfect.
And that's the new standard, so you can.
That's sort of where I was
anything
getting
new, I
at.
believe, has to be 48 now.
Okay. And then it fits our equipment better, so that's where I was getting at,
Yeah.
was hoping that that was gonna line, that's good,
It's just, you get past there and you get back to 30
Yeah.
use.
yeah,
But,
all in good time,
yeah, oh yeah.
yeah.
Multi-use path around the
Yeah.
village would be ideal, but
Yeah.
that's in the future.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you for that detailed report. Move to receive and file.
Seconded, and I forgot to say, and thank you for keeping up on, it's been a winter that was different than last winter. I know that there's been more, it was a late start, but then there's been more events, and another event coming in Wednesday night, so,
And then the weekend.
and the weekend as well, but I think we've been doing a superb job of, as always, keeping the roads, keeping it up and still being able to maintain like the path, and the walkers so appreciate, like, oh, we can walk in plenary because we know the path is great. So it's nice. Thank you.
Melting and freezing is a challenge on the path right now.
Yeah, well, we still have to watch the ice.
Yeah.
And nobody can correct for that.
Yeah, we
so,
try and stay on that too, but
Yeah, we
yeah,
can't,
it's that's a
part of
real
your-
challenge.
I call it your individual responsibility.
For sure,
If you
right.
just choose to do it, you're watching for the ice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Down to item 6. Titled Mrs. Roper's Charity Car Wash.
I don't know who Mrs. Roper is. I have no idea.
I
The
do.
television
Oh, do
show.
you? Is that what it's
From
from?
Three's Company.
Okay.
There is
Well, I know her.
There's
Yeah.
a group of ladies that dress as Mrs. Roper, do events, social events, and they're trying to raise money for the Women's Interval Home through this. But it's a group, whether it's the Red Hat ladies, whatever.
I
This
didn't
is
know
the
that.
Mrs. Roper ladies, and they gather and dress as Helen Roper and raise funds and have social events. Why do I know that? I just absorb information that I
Remember.
think is interesting, and I thought it was an interesting,
I never knew that.
yeah. So they've asked to have a car wash
Yes.
at our arena at the Olympia end, is that?
My understanding was, so they reached out to the Optimums first,
Okay,
so they want to use the water from the Optimums kitchen,
okay.
it's gonna be at that end. With my understanding,
It's more visible there, because that when they said
Yeah.
Yeah.
whichever end, I thought they were.
I made a suggestion, yeah. but Obviously, wherever they want. Ideal spot to host, it would be Thursday.
Well, that's exactly when I read it, I thought that myself, because you have more visibility on
It would be ideal. You're on
Michigan Ave. Yeah, and people
You're
come
gonna
in
could
and out
have-
of
I know on
Canterbury
Sun-
Park.
And on the rain day is a Sunday, there is a Pacers game. Parking lot will be full. Whether we, and on the Saturday, I'm working with Sarnia Minor Ball Hockey, there's more than a good chance it's gonna be ball hockey all day. Just you section off an area for them to have a car wash with all that other traffic in there,
Are they open to recommendations? Because that was my
Well,
first thought
they-
too. The service club has that very large area. At the would be the east end. And you can pull in and out of there. You've got the visibility on a Saturday. At that time of year, park is in and out traffic.
Yep.
You would get just drive-bys. But again, we don't want to volunteer the service club without
And-
contact.
asking
Well,
them.
they've been very busy with dates on Saturdays, like I know there's euchre tournaments coming up.
Well, they have their own car shows and stuff too, in
Yeah.
there where, you know,
It's
they have
just-
their
I've
events.
seen car washes there before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been a long
Sarnia
time.
Girls Soccer did them.
What perhaps you could suggest a date that's just saying these dates are problematic. Like if you want to do it, here's what we would suggest as the best timing for us.
I guess I just don't know how much involvement
Yeah,
for the
I-
arena side of it is. If they're using the community hall.
I think it's gonna be crowded. If you've got ball hockey and
Okay.
kids. And added traffic from that, I don't think that would be an ideal situation. And again, with a junior V lacrosse game the next day. That wouldn't be ideal in my mind.
so suggest a date, but it still doesn't mean that you're gonna have to do anything. It's just saying our parking lot's gonna be busy on these particular dates. This is what we would suggest.
Is there water outside the Livingston Street parking lot? Like, is there water on the outside of the washroom building for the
Where?
splash pad?
Oh, to do.
There's
now?
cold water.
Cold water?
What kind of
What
water
time
do
of
you use
year
for
are
a
we
car wash?
talking?
May,
They're talking,
And in
Like,
May, early
before the
June.
splash pad opens,
yeah,
because the splash pad's open,
May 31st, so.
so it'll be open.
That'll be open.
oh,
What about, like, they have to be at a village owned site?
Not
'Cause
necessarily.
When is Marson Bowl closed for the summer? There's an ideal parking lot right there.
July, right?
Is it not till July? Okay.
I think they
Yeah, because
closed
they
it.
always host Bridgeview School.
Yeah.
At the end of June as a, you know, a
Okay.
school sponsored bowling thing. So I know they're in there until the end of June.
I mean, if you wanted to look at Livingston Street, you'd say there's a parking lot available until third week of May or something, because then the splash pad's gonna open, so
Yeah, it'll be. busy.
May 31st doesn't work, but you could move it up.
I guess the deal with this, we're saying it's not ideal for the arena. To deal with what's
Right,
what's in front of us. Do we need to offer them suggestions?
Well, it does, no, we don't think we need
Because I was
to,
even
but
thinking beside the fire hall at the Brand Hall parking lot, maybe they could tap into water.
then you need to coordinate with the church.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, there's a lot of other coordination.
Yeah.
We'd still, if we're volunteering the service club, that's not our problem
That's
not
either, but.
We could make that suggestion for this group to say. They could reach out to the service club too, to see if they'd be interested in
Mhm.
hosting it.
You could block off part of the waterfront parking lot and use the water from the hatchery,
hmm.
but you would have to section it off probably.
Is there any water access at the bridge parking lot where the Yogi's Fry Truck is, like that side?
We have
Would
a
they,
fire hydrant there.
would they coordinate? You know, you'd have to ask the bridge permission, of course, again,
They'll have
these
their
are,
2 fry trucks in there as well, right? By
Yeah.
That time.
Why don't you suggest that they connect with the service club, and if they have an issue, if that can't work, then they could come back. Think of other options,
I can do that.
like
yeah.
just check with the service club, and then if that doesn't work out, and they can come back and we can talk about what else could work.
Okay.
So that we're not turning them down, we're just suggesting a different way.
So the minutes, like it'll just say that we're gonna try to work with this group to find a proper location for the event. And we'll see what we can do to help them out.
We'll move down to item 7. Counselor Mondu moves into the hot seat to talk to us about Lambton County Regional Trails Committee initiatives.
Yes, as your representative from the village on the Lambton County Trails Commission or committee, I guess, I got some maps for you to look at. This will
Thank you.
help you when I try
Thank
to
you.
explain what's going on. I don't have one for everybody, sorry. Okay,
Mike, if you want this one, I can share with Jim.
I'll share it.
there's a couple of initiatives that are underway. The map will be one of the other things I'll talk about. First thing I want to talk about today is that there was a letter sent to the mayor and the CAO Burns on behalf of the Lambton County Regional Trails Group to talk about standardizing trail signage for Lambton County. Seems that a lot of areas are doing their own thing, and this seems to be a push from the different insurance companies. So and it's all about liability. So I guess the thing is, they'd like, and we would like the municipalities contact their insurance provider, see what they require for information on signage on your trail. And this will be at the start of the trail. And I know with us, we've got a couple different ones, and we've got a lot of activity under the bridge, that trail, on the waterfront in there, it gives some information on the people on what type of trail it is, the length, that kind of stuff. So that's what they're asking, and it's a push because of liability, right? And since we're a multi-use trail, that compounds. So, that was a letter that was sent out, and there's examples in there as well as to what some of the other some of the trails, St. Clair Region Conservation Authority have gone off on their own and done theirs for all their sites. But and then on there was also a link to the sign guidelines from from the Ontario Trails Council. So that's just information to the different municipalities. Second request from the committee is to have the municipalities join the Ontario Trails Council. And that there it's a big deal, because then we would have, of course, we have to have a map that would be, well, you join the membership. I think it's $123. It's not a lot of money, but then you've got, you put your trail map in their website, and even though it's not a hiking trail as such, like it's a high use or high visibility, beautiful, waterfront. So, we get advertising because huge amount of people use this website. That's the first one they go to if they're going anywhere. So. To do that, we need to update our trails map. And also, the group has contacted TSL, and that's why I handed out the TSL map to show that we want to start working with TSL. They already have a map, which with some trails on it, and we're looking to partner up with them. So we're working to get approval from them to add our trails. We've been working on this for 5 years, and we haven't got a lot of resources now, especially since COVID from the county. So we're looking to, rather than reinvent the wheel, and do our own, partner up with them. So we still have not got approval from TSL on this, but we're working towards that. And also, Point Edward is also a sponsor in here as well, already. So they're asking different municipalities to throw some money in like. Buy a program or buy a advertising spot and then, that'll help offset the cost. We do have some budget money, but we are unfunded. That was money that has been accrued over the years from different donations from municipalities and stuff. So we're a group that's unfunded, so we're trying to help offset the cost when we get moving on with this. But part of what I wanted to, we can do this offline, is take what we have today as far as mapping our trails and come up with a map that we can send in to TSL when they're ready for us. So that we can have it on the printed copy as well as online as well. So as we're aware, we all carry phones, printed copies, they print 30,000 of these a year and hand out to people. So it's a way to further highlight active transportation. Like bike trails, our multi-use trail. So that's what, this is information to the municipalities to help. After active transportation and the county itself, we're an umbrella organization for all trails. And we just want to promote what's out there. So the ask is, would the municipality be willing to join the Ontario Trail Council? And then with that, there's an obligation to update the trails map, make sure that it's current. As well as when we do that, we make sure it's updated current for wherever it's gonna finally reside, if it's with TSL or if we're still gonna go off and do our own. So that's, just an update on what we were working on and, we'd like to see that happen if possible. But I wanted to show you what's out there today. When we got looking at this as a group and, we do have TSL members on our committee. In fact, one, Adam Dean, is the marketing director, and he's the one behind this map today. So we're seeing if we can just dovetail in and make this work to help promote trails throughout the province. And that's basically all I've got today. Just wanted to talk to you about that and just say that, we do meet and talk about this stuff all the time, so. But it's key to on the trails, contact your insurance provider and they'll tell you what signage they would like to see. And also, based on what Mike just went through with our liability on trails, they may have some other recommendations on what we need to do about liability for our trails.
So do we just bring that as a recommendation to council?
But the membership,
Yeah, we'll discuss that as a council.
just to
Any
add,
questions?
thank you for doing the presentation. I just wanted to add. TSL is Tourism Sarnia Lambton.
Correct.
Just
Yeah.
for anybody listening, if you don't know what TSL is.
Yeah.
Just one time.
Yeah.
We use acronyms all the time, but.
Yeah.
It's good to remember. Somebody might wonder what it is. And I'm on the board there, so this will
Yeah, the mayor's aware of
come up.
what we're doing here as well. So just, we've been asked to get out as members to get out to the different municipalities and talk to them. To people aren't always aware we exist, right?
So is the ask is for TSL to come up with an updated map for the whole county, or you're wanting each individual municipality?
Each individual municipality comes up with a trail map for their trails. So we've got the waterfront trail.
Mhm.
And I guess that would go from Canatera around, and we've already got that highlighted on the map, which just to verify, and we're gonna be putting in a new one on the multi-use trail in St. Clair, which will need to be added, right? So a lot of it's done. It's just to review it and make sure we've got a document that we can give to them that highlights what we have today.
So each community does it. and
Each
then submits
community
it.
to do their own, just for their their community.
Then will you have a winter and summer one, then will it be separate? Cause you know, like Laws's pathway section is closed during the winter.
But Laws is not us, that's Sarnia,
I
that's
know.
Blue Water Trails, that's a different, don't look at that, we'll just look at the village. Right? Cause our trail goes along the border. Correct?
Which includes the casino that shuts down through the winter.
Ours includes that, the casino? Even though it's private,
That's waterfront.
like we do to we stop right at their fence. Right, so we do up that hill and then we stop. Cause it's private property beyond that. Same with the Blue Water Bridge, like they do a section
Yeah.
that they own, right? So Blue Water Bridge maintains it, the casino doesn't maintain the winter trail. I did it this morning at least, and they don't maintain it. I mean, they may maintain in front of their building, but they don't maintain from that fence
No, they-
area right
they
at the
put the
top of the hill
barrier up.
to their building. So. Just
Yeah.
make sure it's just.
Yeah.
Publicly owned areas of the pathway, right? I don't wanna
Village-
lead people,
Village controlled, I guess you could
Yeah.
say.
I don't wanna lead people to think that it's open beyond
Yeah.
that if it's not our responsibility.
Yeah, it's interesting, as I've had people talk to me about that, they said, well. It's not clean there or whatever, and then it was, oh, it has been cleaned this,
Yeah,
right?
it's
So,
hit
you
and
know,
miss.
wanting to know who's doing that, you know, well, the village is only to a point. Right?
Cause they've been actually doing their sidewalk this year, which they didn't do in the past,
Yes.
so. It's,
So we'll just include that in the package and we'll discuss it at council.
Thank you.
Is there
Thanks, Tim.
Appreciate your time.
any other new business items?
Um, just, we were going to just make mention again, next Monday is Family Day. And we do have open skate at the arena from 10 until 11:30. Provided by Village Council.
I have a question and it just popped into my head. I actually had emailed Point Edward Minor Hockey about this. With the changes in the Ontario Hockey Federation with regards to borders and I'm looking at you, Mike, because I know you're involved. Is there any chance, and we were just saying how awesome our arena is and location and everything, if a whole pile of people decided they wanted to play hockey in Point Edward, would they have to accommodate them? Would we have to add more ice? Is that possible? Do you know anything? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, sorry, I'm dealing with something very similar with Troy right now.
Yeah,
From the Hockey Association point of view, I guess I should start from the village point of view, it would come down to our user groups, and the user group being Point Edward Minor Hockey would have to determine as a board how many of those players they would be able to take in.
Okay.
One of the things that we're looking at is what is our intake according to how much ice that we have to be able to support it. So at certain points, with the Ontario Hockey Federation indicating that the open borders are there, a number of associations are saying we can only take in X number of players per age group because that's all we can support. So it really will come down to number of ice times that they have available in the programming. Is it full? If that programming's full, then you'll waitlist it. Very similar to
just the way they
if
do it
wasn't.
now then.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just. it'll
So
come
we'll
down to
change it.
association, yeah.
But that is a problem because membership now depends on being a resident
Mhm.
or going into the pool.
Mhm.
And there's a reason for that, is because of the subsidization.
But that's, I was wondering if the OHF policies that have changed this year trumps Point Edward's policies.
No, no.
Because I did email them, I hadn't heard back yet if they can still protect residents who live here.
In speaking with some of the other associations, for a number of different reasons, they have determined that it is still the association's ability to be able to maintain their ridership or their usership, membership, and that sort of thing. So if it doesn't, just because the borders are open, doesn't mean that players are automatically able to register into that program if it doesn't fit within the program's.
Okay, so if we have 17 roster spots for this one particular
That's-
age group, that's all there is.
That's all there is. I mean,
And then they can still protect.
it would just be-
residents.
Yes,
Okay.
and if that's the way the programming has been set, yes. Yeah, there's no, they can't force it. They've just opened it up. This is, it's more for the larger centers, for if somebody from, and more for the higher level centers, the AA, AAA, if they want to move from one center to another center, there's no residency restrictions. I know in Toronto, it was always a big issue, moving from Whitby to Ajax to, you know, Newmarket, what have you, and you had to go around the circle. Now they've just removed all those barriers so players can play wherever it is. From everybody I've spoken to, it seems it's going to affect the higher levels more than the lower levels. But again, that's why they've also stated that you can protect your own program. So again, whenever it should be.
Okay. If they were overwhelmed at a certain age group and said, could we add 2 teams, could we accommodate them?
Not without
Bumping somebody.
canceling other user groups ice time.
Okay, yeah, I just want to get ahead of it a little bit because there is sweeping changes coming. Like the Ontario Women's Hockey Association has had no borders for many, many years. You could go wherever
Mhm.
and it's never, now it's coming into in the male part, or I guess co-ed hockey, because it's not just males that play, but.
Right.
And I'm just curious how it would affect us in our programming if.
I think it'll be a year or two before it really settles out. Right now, it's initially, it's much like when I believe the transition or in particular when they separated everything was a little bit different. So there's that transitionary period. We'll find out after the first year or two, but when again, it's up to point ever minor hockey to protect their own association accordingly against those changes. And as we've mentioned, there's just simply not more ice. It's no ice availability as it stands right now. So,
Okay. Yeah, that was my one question I had, was to stay ahead of that. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Financial statements didn't really have too much. And we
January.
haven't done the budget yet.
Yeah,
Point of going through that,
I don't,
there's nothing in it yet.
we have spent a little bit of money.
Well, you know,
That's the way it is.
you gotta live, right? Our next meeting date is March the 11th. 10 a.m. Move for adjournment.
so moved. We seconded.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.